Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Cybersecurity Talk. The topic today is Beware of Scams, recognizing imposters and scammers before they get to you. That is the talk. I would first of all like to thank you all for taking the time on this weekend to come and attend this webinar. We'll go about 1 hour with the webinar and half an hour for questions. I'll also want to thank Sita Lakshmi and folks at the Cupertino Library Foundation for giving me this opportunity to give back to the community. I really appreciate it. This topic is very apt for October because October is National Cybersecurity Awareness Month. That's where we spread awareness to the community, to businesses and so on, as to how to really protect people from cyber attacks and cyber hijacking and so on. A little bit about me. I am a cybersecurity consultant. I run my own company called Cybernetix Security, and we help businesses launch new products and with go-to-market strategies, messaging and positioning and so on. But let me assure you that in this talk, I'm not here to sell you anything, no products. I'm here to enable you, especially senior citizens, to recognize scammers and imposters and prevent them from stealing your personal information. And even if you get breached, it's okay. We know how to recover from it. I'm going to give you a few steps to help you recover from breaches. So that is the whole idea. So before I get started, let me just talk to you about personal hygiene and how it relates to cyber hygiene in this present pandemic we are in. So as we face the COVID pandemic, we know about the top 3 W's we need to be paying attention to. Washing your hands, wearing your mask, and watching the distance. Those are the 3 W's. And they also translate to the cyber world. So as we spend more time in the virtual world, online, working from home, communicating with friends, and we also deal with many unknown people, interacting with them in email, especially when you order stuff online and you get confirmation that your order is ready to be delivered. And we don't really pay attention to who the email is coming from. Or even when people call you on the phone, if there's a stranger calling and if your phone does not warn you that spam, you may end up giving your personal information away. And that's what leads to security breaches. Today, over 90% of the data breaches are due to human error. We being busy, stuck at home, cut off from real contact with real people, we are on the edge of stress and anxiety. So we are handling too many things at the same time, including our kids with distance learning and so on. So this is a perfect time for hackers to test our limits and kind of sneak up on us to really give out our personal information. So in this talk, we're going to give you practical ways of really preventing such attacks, as well as ways to really take action from recovering from attacks. So that's the whole idea. So with that preamble, let me get started. As I said, we are going to go for 45 minutes with my presentation. It is divided into 15-minute segments, and each segment will define the typical methods used for a scam category by scamsters. And it'll give you ways of how to tell the good guys from the bad guys, how to really recognize a scam happening in that category. And thirdly, what actions can you take to really prevent the scam from occurring in the first place? But in case you made a mistake and clicked on a link or responded, how do you really recover from it if you're already been breached? So that's the most important step. So ultimately, we're going to help you do your part and be cyber smart. That's our motto, basically. So let me also say, I don't want to be talking all the time. So we will have at the end of each segment, we'll have a time for you to share your story, to teach us all and say, what happened in your scam? Did you get breached? Or if not, how did you really protect yourself? And so for this, at the end of each segment, 15-minute segment, you'll get a chance to raise your hand in the interface. And so at the bottom of your screen, and Gopal, who is helping me organize this event, is going to pick one of you, and you unmute yourself to tell your story. And we want you to keep the story short to under 2 minutes, so that way we can pick 2 stories per segment and get done in time. So I hope that is clear. So with that, let's get started. So this is a time for trick-or-treating. Halloween is around the corner, and we want to be treated but not tricked by cyber attackers. And there are basically 3 types of attacks which can be launched. These are the 3 categories of attacks: spam calls, phishing emails, and remote access. With spam calls, somebody is impersonating a bank person or IRS, and really they are getting you to behave in a way they want to by saying, we see unusual activity in your bank, your account may be compromised, you want to log in and make sure you take care of it, and they present you a login screen, and you try to type in your account name and password, and they take it away. The other one is phishing emails, where this could be coming from Amazon, where they do the same thing, and they want you to reset the password because your account is compromised. The third one is remote access scams, where a pop-up comes up in your screen, and it asks you to call Microsoft because they saw unusual activity, or they saw your endpoint is nothing but the laptop is compromised. And you call the number, and they are fake Microsoft support. They try to get into your system remotely, and that's what the hands are showing from the internet onto your system. And all these things can happen. There is one common theme across all this. The common theme is imposters are trying to play on your fears by creating a sense of urgency. When you're busy with your work, they lock up your system or present you with something and ask you to take action. And that's the time when you should be paying attention to who the person is, which email address is it coming from, what are they asking for. If it's personal information, don't give it out. And that's exactly what we are trying to teach in the Cybersecurity Awareness Month to people, so that they don't succumb to such type of scams. And I get at least 3 to 4 either phone calls or emails per week, and I just wade through them and make sure I don't touch them. And I'm sure you're getting it too, and many of you are smart enough to avoid all these things. So this talk is mostly for senior citizens who are probably not as computer savvy, and to also make them aware that there's help out there. With that, let's get to polling question number 2. So the question here is, these are 3 questions. Have you or someone in your family lost money in a phone or email scam? Answer is yes or no. Have you or someone in your family given out personal information by mistake to a con artist? And the third one is, has your computer ever been locked up by malware or pop-up screens? So you should choose your answer for each one of these questions. And in a few seconds, Lakshmi is going to, Sita is going to give you the response. So I'm sure many of you have selected yes, but let's see. Oh, that's great. it's good to know that, all of you are cyber savvy, and just some have succumbed to such scams. Okay. So let me proceed. So we are talking about phone scams here. And with phone scams, it's basically one of these 6 different categories of attacks which happen. One is a threatening call coming from an IRS agent saying that, especially in the tax season, and they're saying that, you have unpaid taxes which have to be paid soon. Otherwise, there's an arrest warrant in your name. And if you don't act soon, call this telephone number. They're going to come, and police is going to come and arrest you. The other one is playing on your empathy. So especially when there is an earthquake or a fire or flood, there are charity appeals which go on where they basically give you a PayPal number, a PayPal account, where you can send in money to really help out the needy. But that account is a fake account. It's going to somebody who is getting himself rich. And so there's a way to tell whether names of charities are legitimate or not. So if you click on the link, it'll tell you the type of charity organization. So there is companies like Charity Navigator and GuideStar. So if you plug in their 501(c) number, it'll tell you whether it's a fake charity or a real charity. The third one is technical support. This is equivalent to the third category of attacks, where they lock up your system and basically ask you to call a telephone number. The fourth one is lottery scams, where they tell you, oh, you won a big lottery, or even it's a small lottery. Give me your account number and routing number, and we will send you that money. And that's how they capture your information. The next one is a family member is in trouble. So for example, a grandpa or grandma sitting at home may get a call to say, your granddaughter going to this University of Michigan is in trouble. She has broken her hand, she needs help, and she needs to be hospitalized. And they may even capture her phone recording, phone message, and apply some AI to say, Grandpa, help me. And it's like a simulated recording their voice. And that may trigger grandparents to really help out because it's a sense of urgency they have created. And they would transfer money to an unknown account. And that could happen. And this actually happened to a friend of ours. And finally, bank fraud. Bank fraud is ripe for account takeover, where they capture your account number as your username and password by putting a fake link, which puts out a username and password. And from there, they have control over your account. And so that makes it easy for them to steal money later on. So these are the different types of phone scams. And I'm sure there are many more. I just captured this from the link, the source I provided below, the most common phone scams. You may want to look at it at your leisure to see, how other scams are perpetrated. So let me give you a couple of examples of what happened to me in the last month. So there's this phone call, and basically the guy says, this is tax advocate service. You're determined that you owe IRS in back taxes. Please pay, or you'll be facing arrest. Or the other options, depending on who they are targeting, could be, you'll be deported if you are not a citizen, or your driver license is suspended. And press 1 to talk to a representative as soon as possible. So, or they give out a number. So I didn't press 1. The first thing to do is, as soon as you see such scammers, IRS never contacts you by phone directly. They basically send you an email, not even an email, it's a physical mail over USPS. So you never reveal your social security number to anybody who claims to be IRS and calls you on the phone. Sometimes they also have their 4-digit social security number with them. So they kind of claim that they know something about you already, and that they can find on the web very easily. And they can also spoof the caller ID, the 800 number, very easily. With voice over IP phones, it's very easy to spoof the telephone number where it's coming from. And also, they can follow it up with bogus emails, kind of bugging you to react constantly. So the actions you need to take is, if such a thing happens, you can report such calls to phishing@irs.gov with a subject line of phone scam. And you can also look at call this telephone number, 800 telephone number, and see what else can you do to report scam to IRS. And you can learn more. What I will do is I'll iconify this completely. So you can learn more about IRS scams on that website. Okay, so next one is a text message scam over the phone. So I got this recently too, where it claims to be from Wells Fargo, and it says there's suspicious activity happening over your account. And to check for recent activity, click on that link. And when you click on that link, you basically get a Wells Fargo screen. So it just looks like Wells Fargo screen, and prompts you for a username, password, and allows you to sign in. So that's where they capture your user information, so they can then get into the bank and steal information. So never click on shortened URLs, especially when it comes in a text message like this. And do not, even if you click on it and a Wells Fargo login page pops up, if you have not visited Wells Fargo directly, or the web page does not start with HTTPS, which is for secure HTTP, don't enter your information. Those are the two key things you should remember when you're dealing with fake websites. I hope that was clear. So with that, there's one more. So this is like a summary of what can you do to stop spam calls. So you can block, and with voice over IP phones, it's more difficult to do that. But these are the minimal things you could do on your own. You could block spam calls by using the features built into the phone in iOS and Android. There is this screen when you go to the recent call where the call came from. Click on that call, and you can block this caller in the setup within Android and iPhones. You can also use an application provided by your carrier. So Verizon provides something called as Call Filter, AT&T is Call Protect, and Scam Shield with T-Mobile. And finally, you could register spam calls in the National Do Not Call Registry. After you register your phone number on the registry, you keep on adding calls into the registry coming from various fake phone numbers. But I have been told that these never work. So I've created one. I've been using it for the numbers I get fake calls from, but always hackers are far ahead. They generate new numbers and make new calls. So you can never win with these robocalls. So with that, I think we are with the first story. So Gopal, if you could look at the people who have, first of all, whoever wants to tell their story, please don't feel shy. We are all here to learn from each other. So you can raise your hand and Gopal is going to select one of you to tell your story, and please keep it under 2 minutes. Gopal, are there any
Sure.
raise their
Yeah,
hands?
yeah, thanks. And Sita, I do see at least 2 or 3 folks, and I see John.
Okay, are you able to unmute? I've just unmuted John. John, if you can unmute yourself and ask your question, and if you could keep it to 1 minute, that'll be great. Are you able to unmute yourself?
John, it says talking permitted, but you need to unmute again.
I have unmuted him.
Yeah, but sometimes they have to do it on their end as well, on the webinars. Hey, John?
I'm unmuting John.
Yeah, because his phone is, it says muted. From my end, I can see
go to
it
the
says
next
muted.
person. Let's go to Dale.
Dale, yeah.
Thanks
Dale,
for your
can you
patience,
unmute
folks. We
yourself?
are trying this out for the first time, and hopefully.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Dale, we can hear you.
Okay. I don't have a story of myself. I have lots of stories for relatives. I do IT as well. And I wanted to make just a comment, and then I can tell a story. One on the call block thing relative to the cell phones. I'm not sure if you were going to point that out, but most of the numbers that they're coming in from are spoofed. And for example, calls from Apple, they've now gotten intelligent enough to use Apple Care's real number to spoof it. So it's difficult to tell. It could actually match your contacts. The story is actually my aunt fell prey to the lottery spoof. She was going to win, a Mercedes. It was like guaranteed, and a bunch of other things. And it's the same old stuff. And if you're if the other people want to look, they can go on to YouTube and find lots of sort of humorous stories about the IRS calls and those sorts of calls. But basically, they always come back to the same thing, which is requiring a gift card of some type. And she had actually fell prey to that, had to eventually close her account. And unfortunately, she's 92, and she fell prey again, and it went on several times. She lost about 15,000. The good news is she didn't lose any more than that, and we weren't able to recover any of it. But the number one issue is to make sure that people around you, you have trust in, to sort of guide you on the right way. And if it sounds too good to be true, pretty much is. And like I said, she fell prey to it. She did Amazon gift cards over and over and over again. And it was really an unfortunate event. And so if you don't mind, I'd like to share one other quick thing.
Sure.
So the other one that I would, it is a scam, but my stepfather always falls prey to scams on the internet about free samples. And what some people don't realize, that this free sample scam is essentially where you end up, all you got to pay for is shipping, and you get a free sample. And usually it's like medical things or something that's an ongoing supply kind of thing. And what they do is they ship you that free sample. They get your credit card in order to pay for the shipping. What you're doing is signing up for a subscription. The following month, you'll start getting hit with every month charges, and they'll ship you something. But he started off with a $15 charge and ended up with $299 charges the next month. So I would also be aware of the scam portion of that.
Absolutely. Thanks, Dale. Thanks for sharing the story. It was very helpful. So I think in the interest of time, I'll proceed to the next segment. Sita? Oh, so there's one more polling question we had. So as we are talking about phishing attacks, the question basically is, which one of these is a phishing attack? Is it a fake text message that contains malicious link, fake email that contains a link, fake website which prompts you to do stuff, it looks like a real one, all of the above, Or is it a shark attack on a fishing trip? I'm not sure. So you're giving you enough choices to really think out loud.
No,
So please
I
make
think
your choice.
our participants are very cyber scam savvy. You know, all of the above. You got a lot of answers.
Oh, good.
Saying all of the above.
Perfect. So I think I'm talking to a very savvy crowd here. So maybe I should keep my talking short and listen to them. So, okay, let's proceed. So phishing scams, this is again, it's different from phone scams. And the motivation here is get you to open a fake email, click on a link, and then reveal personal information. And the impact is, as Dale was saying earlier, and in earlier phone scams, the main piece is to steal sensitive information and eventually using the sensitive information, steal money. They can also, it could be a ransomware scam where they can infect your computer with malware and then lock it up and ask you to pay a ransom for them to open up the system. So those types of attacks we mostly see in businesses because businesses have a lot of money to pay, especially if their business is suffering and if it grinds down to a halt, they are willing to pay that kind of money. We don't see ransomware attacks as much in consumer personal kind of environment. So as you can see in the Dilbert cartoon, there's always some person who can succumb to these kinds of attacks. So these are a couple of attacks which have happened to me personally. This happened on September 29th. And it's basically, as I was ordering stuff on Home Depot, it basically said there's a free coupon or gift. Like Dale was talking, to claim it, you just have to click on the link. And you just want to make sure that who is the email coming from? It says order confirmation. You want to pay close attention to see who is it coming from. It's actually coming from newsletter at totalcompletefinance.com, which doesn't match the name provided from the from field. And secondly, as you hover over the gift, it is actually a website we just couldn't recognize. So those are the telltale signs to really tell you, that you should not be clicking on such kinds of emails. And so do not click on do check your from address and do not click on the link. Those are the two things you need to be concerned about. This is the other attack which happened to me recently also. So on October 13th, 1:40 p.m., so I got an email from PayPal saying that my account has been temporarily restricted or locked up. They found suspicious activity in PayPal. And to confirm your identity, log into your PayPal account. And if you look at, again, the email where it's coming from, even though it says service@paypal.com, it is actually somebody else. And I actually clicked on login, even though I'm a cybersecurity expert. I was doing some PayPal transactions. So I clicked on login, and thank God I had my antivirus software, which blocked my login from being displayed. But otherwise, what it would have given me was a PayPal login page, but hosted on not even MySpace, mysp.ac. And it looks exactly like the PayPal login with the logo and everything. And people can be duped to entering their information. And from then on, they can transfer money from your PayPal account to anywhere. So these are really important things you should be paying attention to in email phishing scams. And let's say you get phished and there's a data breach and you lose your social security number or debit card number. What do you do? So when you lose such kind of personal information, it is termed as identity theft. And your identity could be not only your social security number, debit card number, your email address, your bank account, your username, password, driver's license. But if you really search yourself on Google, your email address, physical address, last three physical addresses, last three places where you've stayed, it's all available in the public. So nowadays it comes down to really your personal information like your social security number, credit card numbers, and so on. So if any one of them is stolen, especially social security numbers, credit card numbers, you need to report that to your credit reporting agency. So check your credit report to see if you see unusual activity, like loans taken on your account from somebody else, which you have not personally done. The other thing you could do is you could place a credit freeze on your account in Equifax or TransUnion. It's free, and you can do that for a short period or forever. And whenever you want to open a new loan, you unfreeze it temporarily, get the loan approved, or you apply for a new credit card, get the credit card approved, then freeze it back again. The other thing you should be doing is look at your credit card statements, online statements, to see if you see any unusual activity in your credit card. And also sign up for free credit monitoring if it's available, especially companies who have lost your data provide you credit monitoring. And so sign up for that. So those are the actions you could take. If you lose username and password, please make sure you have different passwords for different categories of accounts. So for all your banking accounts, use a different password. For all your social websites, have a different password. So that way, if you lose one category of passwords, you have to go back and change the passwords in all the websites where you have the password. I would advise you to use different passwords, but that means you need a password manager, which you can get, and that will manage the various passwords for you. So all you have to remember is one password to open the vault for the password manager. And with driver's license, make sure you report your lost driver's license to DMV. So those are the actions you can take. And for more actions, you can always go to the Federal Trade Commission's website on identity theft, and they'll give you all the information on what actions can you take to protect yourself. So with that, let me get to your story on phishing emails. So Sita, Gopal, could you check if anybody has raised their hands? We'll give people a few seconds to think about the story.
Yeah, I do see Judy.
Yeah, I'm okay. There's a Judy Eskinaz.
Yeah.
Okay. Judy, I have.
Yeah, I unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Judy. Please go ahead.
So I have one quick question and then a comment. I usually go over the emails, the address of the email sender. And did you say not to click on it?
No, you can, for the from address, you don't have to, there's no click button. You just hover over it or look at it.
Yes, so I usually
the link
do that.
is where you click. So go ahead.
The other, a couple of other comments. I did get an email from PayPal, and I don't trust much, so I log into my PayPal account rather than clicking on anything.
That's great. That's exactly.
There was nothing happening on my PayPal account, so that was good. And I'm a bookkeeper by trade, and one of my clients, she's in her 90s, and she lost over $100,000 over a 2-year period. And what happened was what one of your callers said, they were giving her some free things on the internet, and she would click on it. And from there on, they were selling her subscription to other magazines. And I was able to recoup $17,000 out of the $100,000, but it was very hard. And I had to fight her because she kept saying, "These are nice people, and they're sending me gifts." and we got into a big fight over that. But anyway, I don't know if she's still doing it or not. But the gift email was, it really, people want to get free things. So just as a heads up, thank you for this talk. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for the story. I think playing on your fear or playing on your pleasure, those are the two things where, giving you a gift, but as they want to give you a gift, they ask you for your account number so they can transfer money, or they give you a gift card and they need some information from you. So you have to watch out for what they need from you. And if they ask for something from you, don't divulge it.
They sent her a $2 bill, which she loved, and they sent her some chocolate, which she ate.
I see.
And yeah.
Good. Thank you. Thank you for your story. I think there's a question on the Q&A panel. And the question is, how do we know who our credit account people are? Does this mean credit card? So I just kind of generally used credit account, but it could be a credit card, it could be a debit card, it could be a PayPal account. There's so many ways to transfer money nowadays that it could be any one of them, which is like your hook, your identity. Your username is your identity to get into your bank account. Email is your identity to get into your PayPal account. And so if they just have the account number itself, that's one thing. But if they get to know your password because they put up a fake login page to you, that is trouble. Once you give up your password, the only thing you can do is go back and make sure you change your password as fast as possible. But they could change your password before you do. So then you call up PayPal or call up your bank and say, your account has been compromised, put a freeze on it. So that way you're talking to the real bank, the real PayPal support people offline, not through the interface they provide you, these imposters provide you, and you freeze your account. So I hope I answered the question.
And Narayan, we have quite a lot of questions coming in. You want?
Okay, so let me wait till the end. And Sita, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, let's finish your next segment, and then we'll open up for Q&A.
Okay, got it. So this is the last segment, and I think I have about 15 more minutes to the hour. So this is a short segment. This is about remote access scams. And here's where technical support people want to gain remote access to your system. So they basically lock up your system and say, call this number, download this remote access tool, or what we call as in the industry as RAT tool. And once you download that remote access tool, then you can, when you log into the remote access tool, you can give them access, the imposters access. And from there, they can take control over your system. They can install malware. They can steal sensitive data, or they can leave a malware which constantly contacts a command and control site, which they control, to constantly transfer information from your laptop. So, and this happened to my uncle very recently. I got a call around 11 p.m. And my uncle was frantic and he said, hey, I have this pop-up which has locked up my system and is asking me to call a 800 support line for Microsoft. Should I do that? I said, no. Great. All you need to do is press Control-Alt-Delete on your laptop, if it's a Windows machine, and bring up the list of things which is running on your machine, kill the process which is really displaying this window, the screen. And if you can't find it, shut down the system completely and restart it. And if it's truly locked, then you have been compromised by ransomware. Then all you got to do is reinstall your operating system. So he restarted his system and it magically things went away. And what I did is I called up the 800 number to find out who they were, and somebody picked it up and said, Microsoft support. I said, where are you located? He said, in Mountain View, California. I said, which address are you located in? He gave me an address which was not one of the Mountain View offices, and asked him, hey, I have the screen popping up on me. What should I do? He said, give me a remote access. I will really fix it. I said, no, tell me exactly what you need to do. And he walked me through just some teaser steps and asked me for remote access again. So never give remote access to your system to anybody who is calling you to help you with support. Always go back and call Microsoft or Apple, their true support line, and find out, or go to the support site and see what they frequently asked questions to see what you can do for recovering from this. So that's the advice I would say for remote access. So I think I spoke everything while the take action thing was sitting there. And so it's getting to your task manager and killing the process, which is really blocking your screen, is what is needed. So do not trust anybody calling you to help you, even if they say they are from any one of the top vendors. And never give remote access to strangers. And do not download remote access tools unless you're talking to your own IT at work, who always have a way to get remote access to your system because they manage your system. It's a office issued system. Otherwise, for personal systems, I would say unless you're talking to the true Apple or Microsoft support people, which again, you need to find out by calling them directly rather than relying on somebody claiming to be Microsoft support. So this is kind of a great cartoon I found where, even IT support doesn't sometimes have a clue. So they tell you to turn off the system, turn off the router, the modem, and your computer. And if that doesn't work, they proceed asking you to do various things, which doesn't make sense at all. So I thought it was really funny to share. And with that, let me see if there are any stories on remote access.
This cartoon is so funny. Narayan. I really cracked up reading this.
Yeah.
We do have a couple of hands. I am calling out Raju Gotumukala. Please unmute yourself and share with us your story.
By the way, this is not RAT story. RAT means in this case remote access tool, but something that happened that is real life situation. That is a friend of mine. Like we sell a lot of things in Craigslist, right? For example, right? So you put an item for, let's say, $100, and then somebody actually bought it, and they said, okay, here is my check, and they sent the check. She received the check for $150. Okay, so then she deposited the check, and then she received an email from the person who bought it saying that, hey, could I sent more because I'm paying for the shipping, and please send me the refund, the remaining money, with a check or with a transfer, right? With money, here's my bank account. Okay. So she actually went to the bank, and she's ready to transfer the money, the remaining $40 or whatever it is, right, to this bank. And so luckily the teller asked, where is this going, right? And she said, hey, this is what happened. And she said, basically the teller said, no, this is a big scam. Essentially, the check they sent, even though she deposited, that's a fake check. It will never get cleared, essentially, right? So, but you don't know that, right? You thought you got the money and you put it. Now we're sending the remaining money back. Your real money is going back to that account, right? So you have to be very careful when you're trying to sell something in Craigslist, for example, sending checks to somebody, right? You're selling the goods, so do not do that. Okay, be careful. this happens.
Yeah. So one-way transfer, the other way is a fake.
Exactly.
Exactly. Fantastic, Raju. Thanks for sharing the story.
And I did this, Gopal. Sita, I do see a couple of other folks also raised hand. I see Kanna, Carol, and Kiran.
I think we can take more stories because
Yeah.
I have just a couple of more slides, but maybe take one more story.
Yeah, there's also someone telling you to share slide number 16 again, and then while you share that, I'll scan through the raised hands and unmute them.
I think, yeah, the slide number 16, we can share it, I think, at the end. That's what Gary is asking. So maybe
Okay.
we'll put them, I think it has a reference points, I believe. So.
Okay.
Okay. So here is,
Kanna.
yeah, Kanna, please unmute yourself and share your story, please.
Hi, good afternoon. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can, Kanna.
Hey, Narayan, thanks for the presentation. It gave us a view into what are the different types of scams that are out there. So thank you for this. My story is, again, probably not really related to a remote control situation, but it did show me how I could get fooled into clicking on links. So this was a time I was browsing on my Mac, and I saw this pop-up saying that my Mac is slow or my browser is slow, and if you click on this, we could fix it for you. And clicking on that link made it show up a web page that looked very similar to a Mac App Store, and it downloaded or asked me to download a browser enhancer application, which I figured was something coming from Apple. So once I did it and I installed it, I suddenly noticed that my homepage had changed. It was now pointing to this company that made the product, and I also noticed pop-ups started to show up randomly when I went to different web pages. So I mean, this was in a span of a few hours. So suddenly I got really worried that did I do something wrong because of all these behaviors that my computer started showing up. So what I did is I went to Google, I looked up that app or the company, and there was so many hits that said that this was a scam and do not install it. And so I immediately uninstalled the app, and I also just for making sure nothing got saved into the browser, went ahead and also reinstalled Chrome and made sure that there was nothing of that sort. So just wanted to bring this up here that they didn't actually control, but in that time period where I had that software installed, were they capturing data? I don't know.
Yeah.
But at least after that, I didn't have any other issues related to
So it basically took control of your browser.
Yeah.
So it changed the homepage.
Yeah.
And your search bar was also not Google and somebody else.
Right, yeah. Right. And it because it took me into that because you feel that, I could always improve the browsing experience, right? There's something that my machine is slower or not opening up so many pages that quickly. But yeah, it was a reminder that things can look very real. As you mentioned, it looks like the real deal with all the logos and the way they've laid out the web page. You don't really think too much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Great, thank you, Kanna. Thank you for sharing the story.
No worries.
So, Sita, proceed with the presentation, and then we can take questions at the end and go back to slide 16.
Sounds good.
Okay. So, in summary, basically, these are the top 3 actions you can take to block imposters before they get to you. One is you can try to block spam calls on your phone via a carrier, or you block it themselves. And I think we have heard enough that also does not work pretty accurately, because callers can change the telephone number where they're coming from so easily nowadays that even caller ID doesn't really help. Don't click on links in emails from strangers, and observe from an email address to see whether it's coming from a legitimate place. Always use offline methods to really check before you really trust anything coming over email. Then finally, don't install, like Kanna was saying, don't install software from untrusted websites. They may look like Apple Store, but if you installed it from some other website, or even if you visit a website and by mistake download something, you eventually see pop-ups show up. You can always block a pop-up in your browser by clicking on, you can figure out how to block pop-ups. There's options available. And if you get succumbed to an attack, you can always, these are the recovery steps you can take. Always turn on two-factor authentication for your critical transactions like account transactions, your 401k and so on, where with two-factor authentication, you're not just entering your username and password, but after you enter your password, the website, the company provides you a one-time passcode on your cell phone, which you've registered with the company. So not only are they checking for what you know, but also what you have. So if you have your cell phone and that has not been stolen by a hacker, they will never be able to, just on a password, be able to get into your system by stealing your password, because they don't have the one-time code to complete the login. So always turn on two-factor authentication for your critical websites or bank accounts, 401k, and so on. Keep your software up to date. So as your operating system vendor provides you updates, accept the updates, and make sure any vulnerability in your systems is all patched. And finally, report identity theft. So there's a FTC website where you can report identity theft, and also with your credit card agency and your credit reporting service. So those are the actions you could take to protect yourself. And the top line is all the preventive measures you can take. So these are the useful resources. You can, at your own time, look at them. So the Federal Trade Commission has quite a few useful resources. IRS has quite a few useful resources. And there is a TechCrunch article on Cybersecurity 101 you should all read. If you want to buy software, the best identity protection software, there is a top 10. And for senior citizens, there's an excellent article which kind of helps you be safe on the internet. And hopefully these will prompt you to learn more and protect yourself and prevent data breaches. So with that, we get to Q&A. And I think I just took 1 hour, not just, but it was a long 1 hour, I hope, or useful 1 hour, I hope, not a long one. Let's look at the question and answers, Sita or Gopal.
Sure. Yeah, I think what we can do is that, Sita, still we have 2 people or 3 people raise their hand. Maybe we can let them speak, maybe a minute or so. Is there any sharing any story or question? In the meantime, it'll be good if you could put the slide number 16, Narayan, so that the resident who wanted it can just take that one, slide number 16. They want to make sure that they want to know what those details are, I believe. I think this is the slide.
I'm calling out Stuart.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes.
Yes, thank you so much. I have a short story about a recent Craigslist scam that tried to get me. Before I do that, your slide deck has those links that you were saying that would be great references for us. Are you going to be sharing the deck so we can click?
Absolutely. I will share the Cupertino Library Foundation. They will send you a deck, a PDF version with live links.
Excellent.
Yes, we will send a link. We'll send an email with the
I could prepare an email with the links with all the references, Sita. So absolutely, I can do that too.
Either way.
No. I will upload the resource pages to our website, Cupertino Library Foundation website, and you will receive an email with the link to the page.
Excellent. Okay, well, we can trust that email link, right? Okay.
So check if it's coming from the Cupertino Library Foundation, and that's your way to find out.
Thank you. So what happened was recently I posted an ad on Craigslist and I included my phone number, both using the Craigslist feature that says show your phone number, and then I put it in my text also, and I tried to, like, spell it with letters and numbers to try to make it less scammable. But I think my number one mistake was that I said include my phone number. So what happened was I got this text message that says, I want to buy your product, and then in parentheses Cupertino. So that kind of was like a little bit of like a copy paste red flag. And then they said, and also it was kind of also a red flag because in this particular case, I had put it in the free section, and they said they wanted to buy it. So that's interesting. And then they said, if you don't mind, can I send you a code number for being sure you're real? And they said, you have to just tell me correct 6-digit code. Can I please send you the code? And I have sent you a 6-digit number. Can you tell me that? I'll match it with my number. If it's right, then you're real. And after that, I'll meet you with cash. And so I played along, giving him some questions and asking him why. And then I took that time to Google the situation, and I found out that this is a scam that's been going on for a while, which I even though it'd been going on for a couple of years, I'd never encountered it or read about it. So I have a couple of links. If you wanted, I could put them in either the chat or the Q&A to a couple of, abc11.com or whatever articles which talk about this. But basically, I think what they're doing is they're using your phone number to, they want to be able to use your phone number to sell other ads, other products. So they want to be able to, I'm sorry. They want to use your phone number as a reference to get a new Google Voice phone number. And so they want and so the Google Voice phone number will be asking them for, a confirmation code for your phone number. So once you say, yes, okay, give me the 6-digit code, I'll prove that I'm real, then they'll make that request, and the Google Voice will send you the prompt, and you're thinking it's coming from them, the customer, and then you'll tell them, the customer, the 6-digit code that Google Voice sent you. So it's kind of a bit roundabout thing for scamming to get access to use your phone number as a reference phone number.
Wow.
Wow.
Something I'm learning it.
Yes.
Thanks for sharing it,
That's
Stuart.
it first.
Yeah,
Yeah,
do you
great.
paste these 3 links in the Q&A or the chat?
Please.
Yeah, okay, we
The
have,
chat-
no, we have a couple more.
No, I think, yeah, you can put it in the chat just for everybody. You can put it in the chat so that people can look into it.
And we can capture that, and when we send our consolidated list, we will include that link also.
Yep,
Okay.
I'm taking it.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you.
So we have a couple more hands raised, so let me get to them.
I think Dale wants to share one more story, I believe.
No, I think Kieran's hand was up before that, so let
Oh, I
me,
see. Oh, yeah. Okay, I see that.
can you unmute yourself?
Yes,
Kieran?
yes, thank you, thank you. So Narayan, first of all, thank you for doing this really excellent presentation and very helpful. I'm actually also on the board at CLF, but the question I'm going to ask you is as a user. You talked about social security scams. So my personal story is I get very often calls saying that your social security number has been compromised and contact us. So can you tell a little bit about that and what I should be doing? Yeah.
So never, ever trust anybody who kind of pulls a IRS scam on you, because IRS does not, Social Security Administration does not communicate with you by phone. It's always by mail, US Postal Service. So that's point number one. Point number two is if they use your Social Security number, they can get your Social Security number multiple ways, through the dark web, or breaking into a loan providing website where Social Security numbers are sold by the dozen for $10 a piece, and the hackers can buy them off the web. Even if they contact you and say, and they sell the Social Security numbers to all these trolling agencies who can then use it for the Social Security scam. So when the person from Tax Advocate Service or Federal Reserve Systems is a common place where I have got calls. This Federal Reserve Systems, and your social security number, you have either back taxes or you owe money, they'll put something on you and say, call us back and we will take care of it. And you can call them back, but don't reveal anything more. And your social security number, if it's exposed, you have to then make sure you check with the credit reporting agency like TransUnion or Equifax to see how it is being misused for any further loans. So put a credit freeze on it and monitor it for some time. And those are the steps you can take. But beyond that, make sure that you don't reveal anything more to these people who call you. Did that answer the question?
Yes, that's great. Thank you. Yeah, I have not been answering, but I still wanted to know. And I think, as you alluded, there were some breaches, I'm going to say some years ago, of several accounts through very established companies, which was unfortunate.
Equifax was breached with 500,000 people's social security numbers, personal information that was stolen. That was the poster child for all the security vendors who could say we could protect the data.
Yeah. Well, thank you for helping out here. Thank you.
And any other questions?
There is one. I'm not able to.
I think I see.
Can you unmute yourself?
Yes.
Dale? Yeah, Dale is here. Yes.
Yeah, I just also wanted to add, I think this is a great presentation you did to keep things simple and straightforward. I obviously do similar kinds of things, but I would like one comment. Well, I've got a couple of tips here. One is on the email, a lot of them will spoof the from address. If you know how to look at the reply to address, it will usually tell you much more. So it'll be a from, but if you look at the reply to, typically a real one that's being sent out will say no reply.
Oh yes, that's true.
If you look at the domain on the reply to, that's a good indication, and especially if the reply to doesn't match the link they want you to click on. Those are two telltale signs.
Right. So Dale, when you're saying domain, let me explain what that is for naive people.
Yeah.
So this portion, totalcompletefinance.com, is the domain name, and this email belongs to the domain. So if the domain does not match the username, or if you see there's a mismatch, the from address, that is a giveaway. And secondly, if the domain does not match the link, like this is t.totalcompletefinance.com, that does not match the domain totalfinance.com. So, or maybe if it's completely different, because T could be a subdomain within that domain. So those are the ideas that's what Dale is talking about.
And then the one other is the reply to. There's typically a reply to, depending on which email program you use, you may not see it.
Mm-hmm.
Second thing I was going to say regarding the email is a lot of people think their email is not that critical, that their bank accounts are much more critical. And the misnomer is actually email is far more critical, because if you lose your password, you can reset it. If somebody has access to your email, they can reset your passwords on your bank accounts. And that's a critical thing. Third, just kind of a update, Flash Player is a typical place where malware comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Adobe has announced January 1st, it's gone. So hopefully that threat will be going away, where Flash Player is no longer. They are not going to update it. They're not going to do anything with it. They're going to disable it.
Right. So when you go to certain websites, it asks you to download Flash Player to play any video sequences. And as far as possible, don't download it. And as Dale is saying, starting from January 1st, Flash Player will be discontinued by Adobe.
And then relative to the person who's asking something about the credit cards, just kind of a thing I always look at is I basically try very hard with family members and friends to say, you know, never click on a link. And then they get calls, and they get a call from the bank, or they get a call from whatever, and they're supposed to identify. And I've gotten calls from Blue Shield and they're asking information. Any incoming call, I refuse to give information. If I need to get a hold of them, I'll look at the back of my card if it's a bank. I'll call my medical card to get a hold of them. I'll use those means so I know that I'm talking to that entity. And lastly, relative to the tech support scams, Apple, IRS, as you said, all of these organizations will not call you. So for example, if Apple does something, they will never initiate a call. You got to call them, and then they will schedule a call so you know specifically that it's them. They do not call just out of the blue. They will never do it. IRS, same thing, as you said, it's all USPS. So anytime anybody starts asking for information on an incoming, whether it's call, email, or whatever, I basically advise, do not give the information, find the source. If it's Amazon saying your account is whatever, go to Amazon.com. It should have the same problem. And if you can log in, guess what? You're not compromised. So that was I think the last one. Just one other is in email. There is a common practice in email, which is basically that I've hacked your computer and I have, photos or videos or something of you. That's another, that should be.
Yeah, that's like a ransomware demanding a ransom. I'm going to release your personal information unless you pay me money, right?
Right, but there's no, it's basically if you don't respond to me in a couple of days, and that's, basically, don't worry. It's
right.
Unsubstantiated.
Great examples. Thank you, Dale. Thank you for sharing your experience.
Yeah, there are a few more hands raised, and there are a couple of questions in the chat window. Let me read that out. There's somebody asking, what is a credit agency and do I have one? And if not, how do I get one? I think they may be referring to how do you get your credit report and things like that.
So TransUnion, Equifax, and there's one more. Experian. So those are the three credit agencies. They maintain a history of the number of credit cards you have opened, what is your account balance on the credit cards, any loans you have taken, any derogatory liens which have happened against your home. So they are the place to go to if somebody new is going to issue a credit card. They check your credit before they can give you a new credit card or loan. So you always have access. You can go to equifax.com or transunion.com, open an account, and then look at your credit report. You get one free credit report per year, I think. And you can look at it and see what is happening with your credit. And that's what I meant. How do you get to your credit agency? We can include the links to those three agencies in our email, which we'll send to all the attendees. So that way you will know. Hope that helps.
Yeah. Okay. And you want to go for one more, the hands raised? I think Mabel and Valerie.
Oh, okay, let's go to Mabel Yuan. Please unmute yourself and share your story or question.
Mabel, you can unmute yourself because you are still muted at your end, because we can see that your mic is off or muted.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I just want to share a story about the IRS calling. I think a few years ago, they called me at 6 a.m. So at that time, I'm so sleepy. So usually I won't pick up the phone because I have an old age mom in Hong Kong. So I'm so afraid she might call me for emergency. I pick up the phone. And they told me they called from IRS. They're going to arrest me because I didn't pay the tax or whatsoever. They asked me to pay right away. Otherwise, you need to hire a lawyer. At that time, I kind of sleepy. I don't know what to do. Then I recall the news say that some politician, they didn't pay the tax last year. So the next year, they just pay the fine, not a big deal. They don't send them to jail. But they said that if I don't pay now to them, they will send a policeman to take me to jail. So then because I remember story, not pay tax is not a big deal, but I don't earn that much money, Even I didn't pay a tax, it's not so serious. They put me in a jail. I'm not a criminal.
That's unusual, right, for somebody to
Yeah.
tell you that.
And then I asked them, I say, how about that? You give me your phone number. I call you back, because
Good.
I'm not too sure. So they give me a phone number. Then I start open the computer to check the phone number. The phone number is a fake number. It's not a real phone number. Then I hung up the phone, and then about 3 minutes, the policeman come knock my door. I open the door. They holding a gun for me. I just shocked, I thought they sent the policeman to arrest me. I said, I didn't do anything wrong. I paid the tax, maybe something calculated wrong, not a big money. Then the policeman come out. I just so scared, 2-3 policemen, two police cars in front of my door. Then I said, why are you coming? He said, because somebody in this house calling the police. There are 2 black guys with the gun in my house. I said, no, I'm the only one that live in my house. They said, you come out. Let me go inside your house to look for the bad people with the gun. So they check around, they don't have. Then they asked me, why you call us to come to you? I said, I never call you. So I told them the story, before. They don't listen. Then they think that I have mental problem. I calling them to place this call. Then they asked me all the things, like I have my son in the military. Is it, who is this one? What he's doing? And then they asked me rephrase a sentence, make sure do I have a mental problem. So everything is correct. Then it's like, do you have your children's phone number? Yes. Then they call my daughter. My daughter's on the way to go to work. So the police asked my daughter, is your mom have mental problem? My daughter said, no, my mom never have a mental problem. And then asked a lot, make sure I don't have. Then they wanted me, don't call this number again, otherwise you will get in trouble. I said, I know. I said, somebody break into, call my phone. They cannot get my money. They get mad,
How did the police come to know that you had called that number?
Yeah, because the phone number they use my phone number. They had my home phone number. They had my home phone number, and then I was so upset. Then I walked.
So these were the real police?
The real police, but
the local county.
Yeah, no police. There's another story. So I was so mad. So I walked to the park. And I see my neighbor, I told them what happened. Then I come back. When I come back, I see 2-3 police car again in front of my house. I said, what's going on? Then I told them, then they're so mad. Why you call us again? I said, no, I didn't call you because I'm so upset after you come.
So somebody else is calling the police and sending them to you.
Yeah, they had my phone number, use my home phone number.
Yeah, I think
call the police again. I say, no, you see that I'm walking back from the park. How can I make a phone call? Right. I said, can you call the police department?
This is harassment, basically.
Yeah. I said, can you call the police department where the phone calling from? Even they use my phone number, they might not really come from my phone. So they call a long time. Then they find out that the phone number calling is from the Middle East.
Right.
From the Middle East, not my phone. They had my phone. There's a police listen to me. Now you call the phone company, cancel your phone number, change another phone. It's very scary, because they cannot cheat me for the money. They get mad. Then they had my phone number, call the police, report again. There's some Negro come to my home. They have the gun. That's the policeman come 2 times. So this is horrible. Since then,
I really empathize with you. It should have never happened, but even a phone number being exposed, it tells us what all they can do.
Yeah, they can hack my phone. Yeah. So since then, I don't pick up any phone anymore. So I need to know that the phone number I know, then I will pick up. Otherwise, I don't pick up any phone number.
Exactly.
It's scary, very scary.
Yep. Thank you.
And time is running out. There's one more hand raised, and then there's a couple of questions on the chat.
I think you also have, Sita, some closing slides, right?
Yes, I
Yeah,
think
so maybe I think we have one more person, Valerie, I think raised the
Yeah.
hand. Sita, you can, in the meantime, while you're giving her, I think, Mabel, you answer whatever she brought it up. It's, I think Dale is currently calling it out as a profiling. That's exactly so people can get profiled based on the number, and then they use the number to do the same kind of messages, sending the message to the cops and others to really, really threaten you. It's really bad. It's sorry to hear you've gone through that, Mabel.
Is
Okay,
Valerie?
this is
Yeah.
Valerie. I've unmuted. Can
Yeah.
you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Okay, I sympathize with that lady firstly, and my home phone number, I never answer it and there's no voice message on it. And I tell my friends, if you want to call that number, to just start talking and I'll pick up. So I don't like picking up the phone anymore on that. So that's my comment. Okay, my thing is, my problem is I received an unsolicited cash card in the mail, and it looks absolutely proper. It's black with all the digits on and everything. It came in an envelope with cash card written on it, and the return address is Cash App in St. Louis, Minnesota, Missouri.
Mhm.
And I looked at the card, and I hadn't asked for it, so I cut it up immediately. That's the first thing I did. And then I thought, well, I better look into this a bit more. So I Googled and I found a YouTube video of a lady that this had happened to. And the Cash App is tied in with Sutton Bank. I'd never heard of Sutton Bank before, but she called them, and I don't remember the whole story on it, but she filed a complaint with the Better Business Bureau. She got in touch with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau as well. And they told her to look into her credit report agencies. Well, I haven't done anything with this except cut the card up. But, and then I had another look, and in the very fine print, right down at the very bottom in gray that you need a magnifying glass to read, it said PPP. And so that has got me wondering whether somebody has applied for one of these PPP loans in my name.
Oh.
So I'm not quite sure how to go forward with this.
I have no clue about that. So I will look into it. But I think they don't have, if they have to apply for a loan, they need your information.
Sorry, I'm just jumping in, Narayan. Parallelly, I do see a thing from Piyush Gupta as well. It says it's similar. I got to see the unsolicited cash card from a Cash App, Sutton Bank. Why did I get it? Is it a different?
That was a question that was posed in our last webinar, and I asked Piyush to drop it here, so we remember to answer the question that was posed in the last webinar. Perhaps it came from the same person because it sounds identical.
Okay, that was me.
Related to what Valerie is outlining it?
Yes, that was me that put it in the previous one, and I did get an email from you saying that you were going to put it in this one, and you hadn't put it in this one, so I'm asking it now.
Yeah, I don't have an answer right away, Valerie, but I will look into it. I know this is again punting the ball further, but I will look into it and get back to you.
Okay. So my concern is I could call Sutton Bank. How do I know that they're not just trying to get information off of me? I don't want to. I don't want to speak
Are they
to
a real
anyone.
bank? But do you care at this point? What is really so? I would go back to credit reporting agencies to see if anybody has taken a loan on your behalf, and that hasn't been done. Then this is all noise.
Yes, I think there's nothing for me to worry about. But you know, you hear horror stories. And I want to put it out to people that this is something that's going on.
This could happen,
So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you for the story.
There are more questions coming in, and I just want to remind people that this is not the last talk on this topic. So let's try to wrap this webinar, and then we will schedule, I'll tell you about our future event where you can hear more about this. what do you say, Narayan? Any closing comment, or shall we move
No,
on?
so the closing comments I would say is always be vigilant and don't trust what you see, especially during this COVID times when we are all shut down, working from home, and the hackers have figured out how to remotely get us. And so don't trust any email or text message coming from strangers, and follow those guidelines which I've laid out, and you also, many of you have chimed in. And always have an offline way of checking whether you're talking to the right people by calling the right support numbers, contact the right email addresses, and don't respond to anything which comes by email or phone right away. Take your time, take a deep breath. Nothing's going to happen. So yeah, that's my closing comment. Thank you very much for spending the time this afternoon.